Hi, I'm Olivia. I'm a commercial photographer based here in York. I have been a photographer for 15 years, coming up in June this year. It's a longish time. An average day for me is basically there is no average day. My week kind of ebbs and flows depending on the commissions that I've got on. So it can be a week packed of shoots. So I'm working, early mornings right through to late. The other side of the job is obviously the editing side of things. So I can have a day where I'm out on location. The next day might be stuck at my Mac all day editing, and obviously the business management side of things. So it's a really, really varied role. No job, no day is ever the same. So my choice to enter the creative industries actually came a little bit later in life. At school, if I'm really honest, I didn't have a clue what I wanted to become. I didn't have that sort of clear career route. My dad's a photographer, at 74 is still very much working, and as I was younger he was working as a freelance photographer, so grew up with that, but it never entered my mind that that was something that I wanted to do or was even an option. I'm showing my age now, I'm 45, so back in my day at school we didn't talk about self-employment, entrepreneurial, words like that just didn't exist. It was kind of you went into a job or you went to university, and there wasn't much to choose from around that. Life experience then sort of threw me in the path of going off to become an occupational therapist. So studied my degree, 3-year degree for that, and then did several years working in the NHS, working with strokes and head injuries, and it was a really, really challenging few years. As I was approaching 30, stress got quite full on, and really felt that actually this wasn't what I wanted to be doing sort of for the rest of life. And photography had always been there, obviously because of Dad, but also as a hobby and something that I was really passionate about. And I think as I approached 30, it was then having that confidence to consider something, a self-employment route, and just that sort of sudden overnight spontaneous, actually, do you know what, I'm going to be a photographer. 15 years working for myself now, and yeah, love every minute of it. There's so much I really enjoy about my job. I love being stretched and challenged. So I very much, most of my work is out on location. So I work with commercial clients. So it's thinking on your feet, problem solving in the moment, analysing light, finding those creative results for people. Still working with people. So although I work alone, I am the business. I get to work with some amazing people through my job, whether that's, videographers, on other sort of teams, the creative side of things, and also stylists, makeup artists, hair from time to time, and also work in collaboration with my clients as well. I love that sort of team approach on a shoot day and everyone sort of having that input. And yeah, just the variety of what I do is amazing. That busy shoot day where it's really physically exhausting, physically challenging and creatively challenging, and then the next day sort of, that day back in the office, editing, running the business. So it's so varied. I love it.
My name's Mark Winter. I'm an animator and designer, and I work for Dog Eat Cog. A typical day for me involves quite a lot of different things, from client meetings to reviewing storyboards, developing animations. Animation is a really broad subject. There's a lot of different paths you can go down, from being a sort of motion designer to a 3D animator, or you could even go down the traditional animation route, which I think is what a lot of people think of when you say animation, is that sort of Pixar, Disney style animation. So the work I do is primarily 2D animation. I work in Adobe After Effects, and we usually work on anything from these sort of narrative-driven explainer videos to sort of more motion graphics type videos, which involve a lot of typography and video work as well. I think there's a lot of differences between working freelance and working for an agency. I've done both. I started as a freelancer for several years. It really sort of pushes you to develop. You're being sort of pitted against people a lot, so it really is beneficial to sort of learn as many skills as you can, really, which is what really helped me develop as a sort of multidisciplinary designer. I do a lot of animation, but I also do a lot of digital design work as well, and print work. I think the main difference is, as a freelancer, you're obviously responsible for a lot of different things. You're the project manager, you're the accountant sometimes, you're the creative director, and you're sort of having to deliver all aspects of a project a lot of the time. But obviously when you're in an agency, it's much more of a team environment where you've got that sort of support around you and a lot more people to work with. One of the reasons that I transitioned from a freelance background to an agency one was I really enjoyed that sort of team aspect. As a freelancer, I'd done several sort of in-house stints in agencies, and I really enjoyed the environment there, which was what helped me push me in that direction. After working for several agencies, I now co-own one with some other designers, so I think it's a really good balance. It has that sort of freelance aspect where we're sort of managing the clients, but also I have that sort of team environment now, and I get to work with people and you get to bounce ideas off of people a lot, which is something I really enjoy. One thing I really love about my job is the sort of creation aspect. I love to sort of take a client brief or just a few words from a page and sort of really bring those to life. I think especially with animation, the sort of sky's the limit in terms of creativity, so you can really bring those stories to life for clients, which I think is always really amazing to see. I think creativity is an ongoing process. My degree wasn't specifically in animation, but it opened up a lot of sort of different avenues, different pathways to go down. And I'm sort of largely self-taught in the sort of design and animation area, and I sort of put that down to doing that sort of creative degree, which helped me sort of move into those areas.
So I'm Rebecca. I founded Kaizen Arts Agency back in 2018 with a bit of a remit to make stuff better in York and hopefully eventually beyond, and do that through sort of creative projects and events and facilitating workshops and all sorts of different things. Back in 2019 we set up York Design Week, which was in collaboration with Dog Eat Cog and United by Design. York Design Week really is trying to create space and time for people to come together and have conversations about how we can make stuff better together. So we tried to pull together about 30 to 40 events each year to address some of the issues that we're seeing today, whether that's social or environmental or economic injustice. When you work in the creative industries, you never really stop creating. So even when you're just out or like having a coffee with someone, you're always bouncing off each other, and I get a lot of energy from that, and I really enjoy the sort of not knowing where a conversation might lead or not knowing where a project might go, but sort of trusting in that. And I think having a career in the arts really allows you to trust yourself, because I feel like it's one of the places where you can actually truly be yourself. So we've recently set up some studio spaces, which is really exciting, and we're hoping to sort of bring people together through those spaces. You never know who might be there, you never know what might happen. So we're really setting these places up to try and bring people together and create community within the creative industries. So creative industries don't work in silo. We sort of work with lots of different industries. Lots of different industries need that creative edge to help to make change within them. So I'm doing a really brilliant course at the moment called Systems Change, which is all about like looking at creative solutions to really difficult problems such as homelessness, mental health, environment, like all sorts of like tricky situations. So I see the creative industries as being this really powerful source of good change. So the way the creative industries interact and work with different sectors, I think is going to be really important for the future. And I think it's the skills we learn through studying creative subjects or working within the arts, because we're learning these transferable skills. We're learning adaptability, flexibility, we're learning how to turn things upside down and back to front and inside out, and we can use our imaginations in a really progressive and thoughtful and transformative way. So that's why I think it's just super important that more and more people are coming into the arts.
My name is Katie Thompson. I am the Managing Director and Head of Content Marketing at Katie Lingo, which is an outsourced content marketing service for agencies and small businesses. I guess I've been in the creative sector since I graduated from university, really. I went into magazines straight away in about 2012, so I was always sort of writing, and then more sort of into agencies, and then I went freelance in 2016. What do I love about my job? I love the fact that it's something I've been doing since I was 8 years old. I've always loved the written word. I think some people are creative in terms of pictures and some are creative in terms of words. I just love imagining something in my head and putting it out on paper, and just the thrill of just getting those words down and thinking that sounds amazing, or oh, I need to change that, and then going back and editing it as well and refining it. It really gives me a buzz. I always wanted to sort of do something in writing. I wanted to write novels, and my mum would say to me, well, you can't make money, it's like being an actor, you're only making money when you're working, sort of thing. So she said getting to journalism, and then I did. I did a diploma in journalism with the NCTJ, and sort of naturally transitioned into marketing as well, and I'm just doing a lot more content marketing with that. So it's always been kind of a dream, but I also love performing as well, and if I could be an actor and on the side, that'd be great. I think networking is really important, just because, well, I know, certainly speaking from personal experience, had I not gone out there and just met people and made those really relaxed connections with them rather than that sort of formal, stuffy, hi, I'm trying to sell to you, just sort of making those relationships with people is so important, because you sort of get your face out there and then people remember your name, and then once you connect on something like LinkedIn, they'll see you time and again, and eventually that might lead to a sort of client relationship as well as a friendship. I love to go to just sort of informal events, as well as business ones and more sort of industry events, and just run little things like parties as well. I'm actually treating my clients in July. We're all getting together, just having a little bit of a thank you soiree, and I think it's so important because especially at the moment, the work life and home life the lines tend to blur, so it's really nice to just feel a little bit relaxed around your professional contacts. I think the way the industry is headed is that there is going to be a lot more emphasis on working with freelancers. I think we've moved away now from certainly in the digital aspect, it's sort of moved away from the office-based traditional agency model. Obviously there's going to be a lot more remote working or flexible working, and people just outsourcing their work and being a little bit more collaborative, working together and really supporting each other. And I think that's lovely as well, because it doesn't feel as though there's so much competition now. It feels like it's more sort of collaboration, sort of sharing that work around. There is more than enough to go around. So when you see things like government messaging telling Fatima to retrain as a mechanic or whatever it was from ballerina, you think, well, no, there really is a need for that creative industry, and it's saved people. My goodness, if you look at things like, even trivial things like Netflix has got us through lockdown. What would we do without the arts? So thank goodness there is such a wonderful community of creatives out there who are just there to help each other out, and long may it continue.
So my name's James Neward and I'm a chartered architectural technologist. I'm a design professional working in the construction industry, and I've got a specialism in community-led projects with a particular focus on community-led housing. So 2006 was when I started at university, and as part of my course there was a placement, so I've been working in architectural practice since sort of 2006. Yeah, so a day-to-day in architectural practice can be quite varied. There's quite a few meetings, but there's lots of sort of collaboration between people within the design team, within the architectural team that you work in. But there's also lots of meetings and collaboration and conversation with other consultants. So architects are predominantly a part of a design team, so you're dealing with other professionals like engineers and quantity surveyors and things like that. So you work with a real diverse group of people with different backgrounds and different skill sets. What made me choose to get a career in the creative sector? So I was really interested in design technology at school, and I really liked things like axonometric drawings and messing around with how you would draw something and then create it. I quite like the practical element of that, so it felt like a natural slip for me to go into the world of architecture, because I don't think I ever thought, oh yeah, I'm really into architecture and look at that building, but I really enjoyed the idea that if you drew something and designed it and it looked well, then that would be created. That was quite a nice thing for me to be excited by, and to think that you could sort of shape a space or a place, seemed quite fun. So of all the subjects, I wasn't particularly academic, but design, art, those kind of things I was really, really into. Just to give you a flavour for how much I wasn't really academic when I was choosing my university course, I thought architecture would be fun, and I looked at it and I read a lot about it, and it was 7 years, and I was like, that is a huge amount of time and commitment. So actually the course that I went down, which is architectural technology, was it's a much shorter course, but it was more refined. So it appealed to me a bit more because it was like a combination of architecture and engineering, and it just seemed, it was different. It seemed a lot, there was more to it than what I would have expected from an architecture degree. So from working within the creative industry, you get to be exposed to lots of different people, and you get lots of different experience from the projects that you work on. And then you sort of move and transfer from being told what to do to almost becoming your own boss, and working with other people that you've met, who you've worked with within the creative industry. You can start to dictate what projects you work on, and that's really, really exciting, because you can essentially get paid for working on things that you really want to work on. And I don't think that's typical in most other industries. I think you really do meet some really exciting, innovative people that can help shape you.
The creative sector makes me feel inspired.
I think I feel like I belong.
Think about how varied the work that I do is.
For me, the creative industry makes me feel really recognised and acknowledged.
Challenging, motivating.
Challenged in a really positive way. That feeling of being stretched and having to think on your feet.
Like I am alive.
It also gives me a lot of freedom and flexibility.
It's not your typical 9 to 5, so yeah, it fits in really neatly with how I like to live.
There's definitely a sense of collaboration in there, so the opportunity to meet some really fantastic people.
Eclectic. A bit of everything.
Fulfilled as well would be the last word. And fulfilled for me, it's seeing something through from beginning to end.
I feel free and I feel powerful.
And fun. You know, it's every day is different, which I know is a cliche, but it really is true.